Hi everyone, welcome to GBE Reviews. I'm your host Joe, and today I'm going to be talking about the anime Soda. Soda, or Sky in English, is an extremely tough anime to talk about. There really isn't much detail you can go into without getting into spoiler territory, so I'm not sure it's a good candidate for a spoiler-free review. That being said, I really enjoyed this one, and I think there are a lot of positives about it, so I'm going to do my best. With that in mind, Soda is a 13-episode anime which aired in 2007. It was created by Studio Nomad as an adaptation to a manga which shares the same name. There are also two specials to accompany the series, one of which is a prologue and the other is your typical spa episode. In my opinion, they don't add a ton of value, but that's certainly up for debate. So the story, what can I really say? Soda centers around Yorito, a high school boy who has recently moved to a new town with his sister Aono. While out one morning taking a picture of the sunrise, he meets Matsuri and our story begins. I can't go into much more detail without entering spoiler territory, so I'll do the best I can to paint the plot in really broad strokes. First, to sum up the story with one word, I'd say it's about deception. Nothing is really quite as it seems, and by the end you'll end up wondering how what you thought was going to be a cute slice of life turned out to be something far different. That being said, the story does focus on romance, friendship, and the bonds between people, but does so in a way you're definitely not expecting. In that way, it's a pleasant surprise. Second, I'm not sure about anybody else, but I'd say about a third of the way through the story, I had a good idea what was going on, though I think you're really not supposed to know the details until about, I'd say, like 2/3 the way through. This is the kind of story that drops clues about what's going on, and the astute viewer can pick up on things going on behind the scenes. I found that to be kind of neat, and definitely enhanced the experience for me personally. Number 3. The story unravels at what I would consider an excellent pace. You don't get too much at a time, and everything seems to fall into place at the right moment. Nothing feels rushed, and every aspect is given its due time. The climax is stretched over several episodes, which adds to the suspense. I get the sense the ending was going for a happy and uplifting feel, but I got something entirely different out of it. I think because I saw a different and much easier solution to the main conflict, I wasn't able to really appreciate the ending. Granted, I get what they were going for, but I couldn't help but feel a little sad and disappointed. So one more thing to say about the story. I felt that there were a few instances where inconsistent things happened to drive the plot forward. I'm generally not bothered by these kind of things, but I definitely was in this case. They mostly make up for this by wrapping up the story with a solid and satisfying ending, but I really wish they hadn't used illogical leaps in order to wrap things up so nicely. As for the soundtrack, for some reason I wasn't particularly moved by it. I didn't dislike it or anything, and it definitely fits the anime, but for some reason it just didn't particularly stand out for me. Here are a few songs from the OST, so you can judge it for yourself. The art in this anime looks good, and most definitely distinct. For those of you familiar with either the visual novel/anime series F or Da Capo, you will be familiar with the work of Naru Nanano. She's the female character designer for both those two works and Soda. Her art is very distinct, as seen by these screenshots from all three works. The rest of the art is also done well. The emphasis on the sky, and especially the orange sunsets, are beautiful and done very nicely. The main character of this story is Yorito. He is a high school boy who is obsessed with the sky. He often spends his afternoons on the roof of his school taking pictures of the sky. He can sometimes be insensitive to the feelings of those around him, but he's a generally kind-hearted kid. Next we have Matsuri, a mysterious girl who shows up one morning while Yorito is prepping pictures of the sunrise. She comes across as sweet and kind. Over time you come to learn about Matsuri and her past, as she slowly develops a friendship with Yorito. Finally we have Aono, who is Yorito's sister. She fell ill one day after they moved to the new town, and she has been hospitalized ever since. She comes across as stubborn and cranky, but really she is just depressed because she is stuck in the hospital and is unable to participate in a normal daily life. She becomes angry and jealous of the relationship forming between Yorito and Matsuri, and this becomes a source of conflict in the story. There really aren't that many other characters. The only other consequential characters are the Ishizuki sisters, which are friends with Yorito and Aono, and also Takehashi and Mayuko, whose relationship is a bit of a mystery. There isn't really much more to say about the characters without getting into spoiler turf. One hint I can give you is that the guy who does the voice acting for Takeshi in Soda also plays Keisei in Shikabane Hime. What's funny is that the role he plays in each story is surprisingly similar, and I'll leave it at that. Alright, so it's time to answer that number one most important question: should you watch this anime? Let's talk about some of the good and bad elements of Soda and who should watch this anime. So the kind of person who would like Soda, aka the good. Do you appreciate a story that isn't what it seems, that will surprise you many times over? Would you like a show that incorporates typical slice of life elements with several other aspects? Do you like anime where the characters share a strong bond? Do you appreciate a story which invokes strong emotions, particularly the ending? Alright, so the kind of people who would dislike Soda, aka the bad. Do you dislike a story that is a jack of all trades and master of none? Do you find plot holes particularly frustrating and hate when things wrap up a little too conveniently? Do you dislike stories with very sad elements? In summary, Soda is not your typical romance / slice of life. Through unfolding the mystery of each character and their pasts, you end up with something that starts as a slice of life, but ends on a completely different note. Considering the story ties together nicely, assuming you don't mind a bit of a sad story overall, I'd give this one a look. Well, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you found this review helpful, and as always, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of GBE Reviews. Again, I'm your host Joe, saying to you, Jeanne.
Oh, please don't let me die, waiting for your time.